What better way to spend quarantine than waging war on my viewers? I'm a huge fan of strategy games. You know that. You've been with my channel for a while. You definitely know that. And World War II or history was my major in college before I ended up leaving college for various reasons. So war games and historical war games are a lot of fun for me. And one of my favorite genres is MMOs. So when you take MMOs and mash them with RTS strategy games that take place over the course of many, many weeks with diplomacy, espionage, allies and enemies, then you've got me hooked. Welcome everybody to Call of War World War II, and a big thank you to the developers for sponsoring this set of videos. Today, I'm actually gonna go ahead and show you how to join the game that I set up, and it's a 100-person game, and you are all welcome to jump in for free. There's a browser version and a Steam version of this game. They're both free to just jump in and play. This is a game that is going to be taking place over the course, as I said, of weeks. It's a slower moving game, and we'll be sending alliances to one another, wheeling and dealing with each other to wage war on others, and by the end, we'll see who ends up being the #1 superpower in the country, well, in the world rather. But we're gonna join the game. I'm gonna show you how to join the game because it's a private game since it's just for the viewers. And then I'll basically show you the basics of the game. And then once you all join in 2 weeks, you'll see another video, and I'm gonna give you an update on the war. We'll be telling a story of the general of where I decide to choose to start. And from there, we'll kind of have war stories to tell every 2 weeks for about 3 videos or so. So I'm excited. This is kind of a cool idea. Me and Dean have been brainstorming ways we can kind of have like a little war-like story as we go through this campaign. But first, it's quite easy. You're just gonna go, once you bop the game open, you're just gonna hit New Games, and you're just going to go ahead and type in Play with MathasGames. You hit search, and then this should pop up. Bam, Play with MathasGames. You hit join, it's gonna ask for a password, and the password is MathasGames with a capital M and a capital G, all one word. You hit join, and then just like that, you're gonna jump into the game. So, I don't know, I'm not gonna choose anywhere specific. I think I personally am gonna let the game decide for me where I'm going to start. I've already played a bit of the game. I played a tutorial campaign. It's actually still going on right now, and I got a couple of messages from the countries nearby that are incredibly nervous about the way I've positioned my troops, and I've kind of cut them off from some of their best routes through the country. I'm playing as Poland right now. In the country to my north, Germany has been trying to attack me, but I have such a defensive artillery setup, and I have air bombers patrolling my entire border that they can't do anything. And I'm actually marching into Germany, or a German-owned territory very slowly. So, pick randomly. I'm just gonna let the game choose. I don't know what it's gonna give me. Right. We're not gonna create an alliance or anything like that. We are alone. We are not even gonna start the game yet. The game does not start until basically I tell it to. Thus, you cannot command your armies to move. So it looks like I'm way out and I'm Mongolia. So here is the map, and every one of these provinces is somebody that you can play as. There's going to be 99 others on top of myself. And while we may not be able to interact fully, I'm over here, every part of this map is going to have an entirely new and different story to tell as people make alliances or coalitions or war is waged. Will we see like Africa like ally with each other, or will we see them just monstrously murder one another? Will there be giant wars with Europe and Africa? How will America, North America, South America deal with each other? All of that is all stories that are going to be told over the course of this many, many weeks game. Each area also has with its own generation of supplies. So if we come back here, you can see because of the provinces that I was given at the very top, it's going to be certain number of supplies are going to be kind of given to me through here. You can see we've got fuel here. You got some more supplies in the form of crates here, wheat here. All this will start ticking upward when the game begins. And it's actually a relatively straightforward game. The real depth of the game isn't necessarily the mechanics. The depth of the game, though it looks like a lot, is actually the multiplayer aspect of the game. It's where you are wheeling and dealing and talking to people in hopes of forming alliances, or in the case of my other game, hoping that I'm not about to like ruthlessly murder them. And this is a game that can, like I said, be played in the browser. I play it via the Steam one because I like to have, a swap back and forth. But if you're somebody who's at work or doing work at home during the quarantine, it's something you kind of pop up and you leave running, because moving your troops takes like real life hours, depending on how far they're moving. So there's really no reason to have it open all the time. So I'm just gonna go over the UI. I just kind of showed you a little bit how the supplies work. I'm gonna show you how like construction works. It's all very, very simple. And then I'm gonna leave the game, and then over the next week or so, wait for people to fill it up, and we will start a war, and then a new journey will begin. And like I said, you'll get one video every couple of weeks in the meanwhile. So we are the Prime Minister MathasGames of Mongolia, and up here is some important stuff to know. First is a newspaper. It's kind of a natural telling of what's going on in the world, who's doing what, who's kind of has the most points. It's a good quick snapshot of how the game is going, and I kind of like the idea of checking the World Herald at the beginning of every video just to see what the world news says. And you got a nice little overview of the colors of the map, so you know who's kind of blobbing out and who's not. Next up is diplomacy. This is where you'll be dealing with all of the other players. For now, I'm the only player here. Everybody else is just an NPC or just a name of a maybe historical person. But eventually this will be your personal allegiances, what you're doing with the players nearby, or maybe some distant ones. Maybe, you have an alliance with somebody way out in North America, just for a little bit of insight, and maybe moving out to the east and trying to come around to the west side of the US is something you have an interest in doing. Who knows? There's many, many, many different options. And you can actually change and send off different diplomatic options, all the way from war to sharing your intelligence, depending on what you want to do with them. And it can be a one-sided one as well. Maybe you're giving information as part of a deal to not be invaded. They don't have to give any information, but you have to. And you can see messages and trades that get sent to you here as well. Here is where the research is done. It's a huge tree of different historical units, and basically, depending on how well you're doing, you have different research slots free. For right now, you start with 2, and then you want to pick, like, how do you want to start researching infantry. You have your militia, your infantry level 1, artillery, anti-tank, anti-air. You've got your armored vehicles, your armored cars, light tanks, medium tanks that all go up to level 5, tank destroyers, SP artillery, SP anti-air, and mechanized infantry, all the way down. You have it with the air as well, bombers and interceptors and all that good stuff. The bombers are great for kind of laying siege on some very important industrial points. And then a navy if you are lucky enough to be a coastal region, which I don't think I'll be, as Mongolia, worrying too much about my naval worries in the now. And then secret stuff like railroad guns and commandos and paratroopers and rockets, and maybe even some nuclear secrets later on. Who knows? But this is all gonna also cost you some points, depending, resources, depending on what you want. So obviously, depending on what you have for resources can influence where you even start to trade. Over here in the coalition, this is your list of coalitions that you've joined, alliances, etc., etc. And then front reports. What's happening on your front lines? Moving your infantry is as simple as clicking on it and saying move or attack, and then things like ships, you get another one like patrol. And then in provinces, it's whether you want to, do you want to construct buildings, what buildings you have. Different buildings will allow you to construct different things. So, very simply, barracks will allow you to construct infantry units, air bases, obviously aerial units, fortifications, and stuff for just keeping the place harder to hit. It's, again, pretty straightforward. Rallying points and spies is an entire espionage system. I have an espionage system rolling in my other game right now to give me some secrets of local armies, and so I know where my enemies are at all times. Basically, how much money do you want to invest on hiring spies, and then how big of a network do you want to have? And there's all kinds of different options, counter espionage and such, and how much money that runs you a day. And that's genuinely the basics of the game. Like I said, it's very straightforward. You will have to worry about your morale, so getting constantly attacked will definitely make things difficult, but I promise it's all about the multiplayer aspect. And since there's a kind of quarantine going on right now, there are a lot of players online, and there's a ton of games to join, and I think you should come join ours. Like I said, it's free to download, free to play. Jump in. It's one of those games where I haven't spent a dime on it so far. But granted, when I first started playing, I haven't spent a dime. Booting it up today to get this game up and running, though they gave me a nice little bonus of 30,000 gold. But I promise, I was playing the other games no problem without having to worry about spending any money. Just jump in, see if it's for you, check it out. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Check out the game yourself, and you wanna grab it for your browser, there will be a link in the description below for you to jump in and just grab it. And I'll see you all in the game. Let's tell a new World War story.